Think back to your earliest memory. Maybe a birthday, maybe a beach, maybe falling off a bike. How old were you? 3, 4, 5? Now ask yourself something stranger. What happened before that? You were alive. You were learning. You were forming a personality. But there's nothing there. Just static. A blank screen where the first few years of your life should be. This isn't because nothing happened. It's because your brain at that age wasn't built to keep it. Scientists call this infantile amnesia. And for over a century, nobody could fully explain it. Some thought babies just didn't form memories at all. Others thought the memories were there but locked away, like a vault with no key. Both of those ideas were wrong. And the real answer is far stranger. Your brain wasn't failing to remember. It was busy doing something else entirely. Picture your brain at birth. It's not a blank slate. It's more like a construction site. Wires everywhere. Scaffolding going up in every direction at once. Billions of neurons reaching out, trying to connect to each other, trying to figure out which connections matter and which ones don't. This process has a name. Neurogenesis. New brain cells. Being born at a staggering rate, especially in a region called the hippocampus. Here's the part that decoded everything. The hippocampus is the brain's filing system for memories. It's where experiences get tagged, stored, and linked together so you can pull them back up later. But during infancy, the hippocampus is under construction. New neurons are flooding in constantly, and when a new neuron arrives, it doesn't gently join the existing network. It pushes its way in. It can disrupt the connections that were already there. Imagine a library where new shelves are being built every single day. And every time a new shelf goes in, it knocks over the shelves next to it. The books don't disappear. But the system that tells you where to find them gets scrambled over and over again. That's roughly what's happening inside a baby's brain. Memories may form. Some research suggests they do. But the rapid construction of new neurons in the hippocampus disrupts the storage architecture before those memories can become stable, long-term records. Dr. Paul Frankland, a neuroscientist at the University of Toronto, ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood this. He studied mice, whose brains go through a similar burst of early neurogenesis. When he sped up neuron production in young mice, their existing memories got wiped out faster. When he slowed it down, the memories lasted longer. The rate of new brain cell growth was directly tied to memory loss. The very thing that was supposed to be building your brain was also erasing your earliest experiences as a side effect. But neurogenesis isn't the whole story. There's a second piece. And it has to do with language. Around age 2 to 3, something happens. You start narrating your life, not out loud necessarily, but internally. You start framing experiences as stories. This happened, then that happened. I felt this way. Before that point, your experiences exist, but they're not organized into a structure your older self can later access. They're sensations, emotions, flashes, not narratives. Psychologist Dr. Patricia Bauer, who has spent decades studying memory development in children, found that the ability to recall early experiences is closely tied to language development. Kids who develop verbal skills earlier tend to have earlier first memories. The story-making machinery in your brain needs language as its scaffolding. Without it, experiences don't get bound into something retrievable. So you have two systems working against early memory at the same time. A hippocampus that's still under heavy construction, disrupting its own filing system, and a narrative framework that hasn't switched on yet, so even the memories that do form have nowhere to be filed. Here's where it gets stranger. Infantile amnesia isn't actually permanent forgetting in the way you might think. Some researchers believe those early experiences don't vanish completely. They get encoded, but in a form your conscious mind can't access. Not as stories, not as scenes you could describe, but as something more like a template, a felt sense of how the world works, laid down before you had words to describe it. Think about it this way. You don't remember learning that a parent's face means safety. You don't remember the first time you felt fear or comfort or hunger being satisfied. But those experiences shaped the emotional wiring you carry right now, today, as an adult. A 2010 study published by researchers at Emory University found that emotional responses linked to early experiences could persist in animals even after the explicit memory of the event was no longer accessible. The memory of the event disappears, but the emotional residue stays behind. In other words, your earliest years aren't a blank page. They're more like the foundation of a house. You can't see the foundation once the house is built. But everything above it is shaped by it, and this is where the modern mirror comes in. You've felt this before, and you probably didn't realize what it was. An unexplainable comfort walking into a certain kind of room, a specific smell that makes you feel safe or unsettled, for no reason you can name. A song that gives you a strange sense of déjà vu, even though you can't place why? These aren't random. They're echoes. Fragments of that pre-verbal foundation, surfacing without the story attached. Your hippocampus may have scrambled the filing system, but the emotional tone of those early years didn't get deleted. It got built into the structure of who you are. There's something almost comforting in that if you think about it the right way. The years you can't remember weren't wasted. They were the most important construction phase your brain ever went through. Every connection, every disruption, every wave of new neurons, all of it was building the operating system you're running right now. You don't remember being built, but you are what was built. And maybe that's the real reason this gap exists. Not as a flaw, not as something broken, but as evidence that for those first few years, your brain was too busy becoming you to also keep a record of it happening. So the next time you walk into a room and feel an inexplicable sense of calm or unease or familiarity you can't trace, pause for a second. You might be standing inside a memory, just one that was written in a language you learned to speak before you ever learned to read it. And the blank space at the start of your life isn't empty after all. It's just written in a script you were never given the key to.